So you just got your new HCMETE Compensator. Today we're going to show you how to install it, uninstall it, and go over some frequently asked questions. So let's go ahead and show you guys how to install this HCMETE Compensator. First thing you're going to do is take your mag out, make sure your gun's clear, and take the slide off the frame. And then we can pull the guide rod out, set it off to the side. And that gives us all the access we need to install this compensator. We give you guys 6 O-rings, 3 sets of 2. So there are 3 sizes, 2 O-rings per size. This is going to give you a lot of versatility for different barrel lengths, aftermarket barrels, and just all the different potential fitments that could work with this compensator. Since it is a finned compensator relying on this O-ring, there's a lot of adjustability with these O-rings. With these different O-rings, it's going to give you a lot of versatility for a lot of different barrel setups. What I'm going to do to start is grab the large O-ring and see if this compensator is going to thread on properly. We'll just start with one O-ring. We found that some barrels require you to double up. I think this Canik barrel that we have does require it. But we're going to start with this one to see how the fitment is. You can see this actually fits really nicely, but there's not a lot of tension on here. There's enough that it really doesn't want to move too much, and you could probably throw Loctite on here and be fine. However, we want to get this nice and tight, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw on a different O-ring setup because you want a lot of tension on these O-rings to get a nice tight fit. So we know one large O-ring by itself could work, but it's not the best. So what I'm going to try now is go on the complete end of the spectrum and do 2 smaller O-rings and see what the fitment is like. Okay. Pull that barrel forward and let's see what this fitment looks like. So it started getting tight. It's obviously not perfect yet, but I might be able to really crank it on there, which is kind of what you want. You want it tight, and that's actually a really nice fit. I know from previous experience, if I take the middle-sized O-ring and one of these smaller-sized O-rings, it will work really good as well. But for this barrel setup, 2 of the smaller O-rings fits really nicely. And again, just one of the large O-rings will work. It's just not really ideal. So now that we know that the 2 smaller O-rings will work, we're going to pull this compensator off and add our Loctite. Again, we give you blue 243 Loctite. We recommend that you do use it. So I'm going to use my giant jar of Loctite here, and we're just going to add a dab to the barrel threads. And we can thread on this compensator again. The Loctite is going to spread evenly around those barrel threads as the compensator threads on. And what I like to do is I like to pinch the guide rod location of the slide here and the compensator itself and make sure that it's nice and even. You can also look between the fins of the compensator and the slide itself and make sure there's an air gap. This Canik barrel has some play, so I like to rock it back and forth and make sure that even when it's rocking back and forth, it's not going to hit the slide itself. So this looks really good. I'm now going to take my guide rod and throw it in the slide and pop this slide on the frame. One thing I like to do here is I like to press check the slide and make sure that the top of the compensator right here is not hitting the slide itself. This is a tilting action, so you can see that barrel drops down, which is going to make the compensator get close to the slide. I can still see light between the slide and compensator, so I know it's not going to hit when this slide reciprocates. So I would say this has been a successful install of the HCMETE Compensator. So to uninstall this compensator, we're going to strip the gun, make sure it's clear, and then take it apart. Then we pull out the guide rod. That way we can pull this compensator forward, add some heat to this, and then remove the compensator. The way we recommend installing this is with Loctite, so you are going to have to add heat to remove it. Sometimes if you only put a little bit of Loctite on, you can actually twist this off. Unfortunately, I put quite a bit of Loctite on here, so we are going to have to add heat. What I like to do is take a little lighter, or you can take a little butane torch and heat up the barrel right behind the compensator. All right, let's add some heat to this. This is not going to damage your barrel. You will see a little bit of darkening right off the bat, but this should wipe off pretty much entirely. If you want to make sure that you don't get any darkening at all, clean your barrel, get all those oils off there so that it doesn't burn onto it. Especially these gold barrels. These gold barrels can get pretty disgusting. So this looks way worse than it is. Your barrel's not going to look this black. You're going to want to get this good and hot so that you can start feeling the heat coming out of the actual chamber area itself. You can see my thumb is resting on the back of the barrel. Once I start feeling heat come out of that, I know that this should be getting close to hot enough to liquefy that Loctite and make it easy for me to remove it. If you're worried about the O-rings here with the torch or the lighter, don't be. These are heat resistant O-rings, and the heat from the lighter or torch is not going to be enough to melt these O-rings. All right, let's give this a try. I'm starting to feel a little bit of heat come out of the chamber area. And you want to pull that barrel forward so that the fins of the compensator are not hitting the slide. And this Loctite is loose enough that I am able to spin the compensator. So I like to use a rag to protect my hand. These fins are really sharp, And if you did not do this, you could get hurt pretty bad. I don't recommend putting this in a vise to turn. You are going to get more leverage and it will be a little bit easier, but the chances of damaging the compensator are quite high. Be careful touching this. Obviously it is going to be hot. You can see here, we liquefied that Loctite, broke it up, and then the O-rings are still intact. So what I like to do is I like to remove the O-rings, inspect them, clean them, make sure that there's no damages before you reinstall this compensator. If you do need new O-rings, because sometimes, like this one, you can see got a little bit chewed up by the barrel threads when I removed it, just reach out to support@herringtonarms.com and we will get you a new set of O-rings. So before you try to put this compensator back on this barrel, make sure you get these barrel threads really clean. Use a wire brush, a thread file if you have it, some degreaser, and get this as clean as you can before you go to install this compensator. And you're going to want to do the same thing for the compensator. Clean it really well, and then you can apply Loctite and reinstall it. So while this is a new product for Herrington Arms, we do have some questions we have already received and some questions we know we are going to receive. So jumping into the first question, will this compensator make my gun unreliable? And the answer is no. We've tested this compensator extensively with all of the different ammo we can get our hands on, and the compensator runs fine with OEM springs and an OEM slide. You're not going to have any issues with this compensator affecting your reliability of your handgun. We even do a pretty severe limp wrist test to try to make this compensator as reliable as possible. Question number 2, what Canik model fits this compensator? Canik makes a lot of different models. Really, this boils down to it only fits the Mete SF and the SFT. This was specifically designed for the Mete SF, which we think is one of the more popular Canik models on the market. If you were to throw this on a different Canik, the fins will hit the slide, and we do not recommend that. Maybe in the future we can offer different model-specific compensators, but for now this only fits the Canik Mete SF and SFT. Question number 3, what is the holster compatibility with this compensator? And the answer is kind of simple. Really, as long as you have an open front holster, you're going to be fine. This compensator is the same width of the slide, so it is going to slide right through the holster and right out the front, and really not have any issues. The problems lie when you have a closed front holster. There are a lot of holster manufacturers that do this, that close the front of the holster with Kydex. What you're gonna have to do is modify that holster, take a Dremel, and get all that Kydex out of the way so that the compensator can poke out the front of the holster. There really aren't too many ways around it other than buying an open front holster or modifying a closed front. Last question, why did you guys opt to use an O-ring system for this compensator? The answer is we've just had great luck with our universal compensators using O-rings and Loctite, and we wanted to carry that over into a model-specific compensator. The Mete was the perfect compensator for this. We think the slide cuts on here are some of the better looking slide cuts that we've ever thrown on a compensator. And throwing these set screws in the side really just pulled away from the overall aesthetic we were going for with this compensator. So we gave it a try and it worked really good. If you guys liked this video or learned something, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're still here, you're probably gonna like our main channel. So go over to the Herrington Arms main channel to check out more content like this. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.